Welcome to the channel, everybody, and the Anton Greenberry Road to Glory. Here's a series I've been talking about doing now since the Browns rebuild came to an end. We've seen the NFL journey of a lot of players on this channel, but what about their college careers? This is a way for us to add to the stories of some of our favorite players that have come through series that I've done. Let's take these players that were drafted, take them back to NCAA 14, create them so we can do a miniature Road to Glory experience. These are meant to be 1 year long, and I can do these with so many different players, and we can get around to a bunch of positions, a bunch of teams, and have some fun. If you weren't aware, last year I did a new series called the Cleveland Browns 0-16 Rebuild, which was supposed to be a short series where I took the Browns, who had just gone 0-16, and rebuilt them. It was supposed to be a small series that ended up going 18 seasons, over 70 episodes, and Anton Greenberry was the quarterback we selected number 1 overall, the second episode of the series. We're here to take Anton Greenberry back to Louisville and go through his college career and play through his last season. Before we get to that, however, I think it's important to cover Anton Greenberry's NFL journey because it was an awesome one. As I mentioned, the Cleveland Browns 0-16 rebuild is where all of this began. One of the worst teams in NFL history, and I wanted to rebuild them. We had a long way to go when this series started, but we did have the number 1 pick in the draft. Thankfully, there were some good quarterback options, and we didn't have to worry about anybody going before our selection. There were 3 first-round quarterback options, and I felt that Anton Greenberry was the very best one. He was a mid-first round prospect, he obviously was very accurate, had a good arm. He wasn't going to be a very fast scrambler, but that wasn't important. I knew I just had to get the Browns a potential franchise quarterback. By the way, if you want to watch any of this on your own, the Browns rebuild will be linked in a playlist down below and in a YouTube card, and you can watch the whole series start to finish. It is one of the best series I think I've ever done and one of my favorite. I thought I'd draft Anton Greenberry, just sim through a few seasons quickly, fix the Browns, and everything would be good to go. It was certainly not that easy. Anton Greenberry's first preseason was horrible, as he was outplayed by Deshaun Kaiser, but I still named him the day 1 starting quarterback because I knew he had the best chance of being the true franchise quarterback. The first game of Anton Greenberry's career came against division rivals, the Cincinnati Bengals, and immediately, Anton Greenberry looked like a very different quarterback than his preseason numbers would suggest. His first ever completion went to Adam Humphries, and on a simple screen pass to Corey Coleman, Anton Greenberry threw his very first career touchdown pass. But it would take a lot more than that to truly become the franchise quarterback of the Browns. Greenberry proved he was up to the challenge, however, dazzling us with big touchdown throws and breaking the NFL rookie season record for passing touchdowns in a season. At last, the Cleveland Browns had a quarterback playing great, and Anton Greenberry almost became Offensive Player of the Year. He did become Rookie of the Year, but still the Browns only went 6-9-1. It wasn't until Anton's second season that he brought the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs for the first time in many years. It was even a playoff game in Cleveland as we won the division. It was a great game into the late stages, but Keenan Allen got the Chargers in scoring position, and later the Chargers would seal the deal with a game-winning touchdown to end our year. But hey, we made that first step to get to the postseason. It didn't just get easier the next season, however. The Browns ended up slumping as Anton Greenberry had the worst year of his career, throwing just 19 touchdowns and bringing a little doubt as to whether he was actually the franchise quarterback. How could he play so well his first 2 years and then struggle in year 3? Going into the last year of his rookie contract, I knew we had to make a change at head coach. Bill O'Brien wasn't working out anymore, and we had to go in the new direction. That new direction was Kyle Shanahan, who's had a lot of success with young quarterbacks in his career. With the respected offensive mind of Kyle Shanahan back in Cleveland, Anton Greenberry had a resurgence in his 4th season, and he was able to put that bad year 3 behind him. Greenberry was better, and so was the entire team, as Anton Greenberry led the Browns in a late season run to get back to the postseason. Greenberry rebounded from throwing 19 touchdowns to 34 and had amassed 126 in just the first 4 years of his NFL career. These are unseen of numbers. I think the move of getting Kyle Shanahan and his offense was pretty big for Greenberry, and it made it a lot easier to be comfortable giving him the big 5-year extension to keep him as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. But as we saw through the series, we'd take a step forward and almost immediately take another step back. After the first year with Kyle Shanahan, the success fell off dramatically. I hired the offensive-minded coach to help out Anton Greenberry, but then it was our defense that began to suffer. We were horrible on the defensive side of the football. We went 8-8 in Shanahan's 3rd season in Cleveland and let the Ravens take the division with just a 9-7 record. 2 years of struggling was enough. The Kyle Shanahan era in Cleveland was over. He lasted 3 seasons and only brought us to the playoffs in 1. And in the following 2, Greenberry's numbers again took a step back. They weren't as bad as his 3rd season, but he wasn't putting up the huge numbers we were accustomed to and that we quite frankly needed with a struggling defense. And for whatever reason, Greenberry threw a lot less touchdowns and a lot more interceptions in those 2 years. So on to the 3rd coach of the series. We went after the biggest name on the market and someone who would help out our defense, and we hired head coach Matt Hedrick. We then invested into the offense, drafting 1st-round wide receiver Shadon Underwood, who would go on to be one of the most productive receivers to ever play with Anton Greenberry. Then I traded back up into the 1st round to go get the best tight end in the draft, and a player who would become a Pro Bowler and one of the top tight ends in the NFL, Trip Beckett. With the improvements on both sides of the football, Anton Greenberry was back to being the player that we thought he was, at his age 29 season, mind you, which meant regression was on the way, and we returned to the postseason with Matt Hedrick. After going 12-4 and earning a 1st-round bye, we met a team that had given us a lot of issues. If I'm not mistaken, the Ravens had actually beat us twice this season. It was either this season or another one, but the Ravens had our number. And despite returning to the postseason, again, the Cleveland Browns still can't get that win. This was actually the 2nd season with Matt Hedrick, and both were playoff one-and-dones. Our first 4 trips to the postseason saw no victories. Anton Greenberry had 0 playoff wins in his 20s. It wasn't until the next season with Matt Hedrick, our 3rd time making the playoffs with him, that the Browns finally won. And we even made it to the AFC Conference Championship, just 1 game away from the Super Bowl. And we put ourselves in a position to win late. That was until ex-Brown Spencer Morris got the Colts close to scoring position, and quarterback Patrick Nichols got them in range to kick a field goal and send the game to overtime. And throughout the game, we showed we couldn't contain Patrick Nichols when he wanted to scramble. Play after play, he'd find a seam and take advantage of the defense. It was by far one of the most frustrating things that we ever had to watch in this series. Although the Colts gave us a chance at the end, because they attempted a fake field goal to win it, and they failed to convert. They gave us a chance, but the next thing to happen made you wish they had just kicked the field goal and sent us out a couple minutes earlier. An Anton Greenberry pick 6 ended our season and the quest to make it to the Super Bowl. Anton Greenberry was putting up excellent numbers every season, but we just couldn't translate it into postseason success. And on top of that, I was in danger of losing the team because of not managing the money properly. We had to let 4 key players go because we just couldn't afford them that offseason. But in the next draft, one thing changed the entire series, and that was selecting Perry Cummings, who I also want to do a Road to Glory series with. He was a late round receiver prospect. I wanted him because of his athleticism, and I knew upon seeing his ratings, his true position was running back. This meant our offense now consisted of Anton Greenberry, a stout offensive line, an amazing cast of receivers, and now, the final piece of the puzzle. With all this put together, the Cleveland Browns put on a show the next season, and they made it look easy. The AFC North was horrible that year. We clinched the postseason before December, and the wins kept piling up. How long could this undefeated run really last? Well, with this team, quite a while. We finished Week 17 by defeating the New England Patriots, the first ever team to go 16-0, as the Browns became the second. Anton Greenberry had won the NFL MVP award. He broke 40 passing touchdowns yet again, as rookie running back Perry Cummings had 1,300 on the ground. With our undefeated record, the Browns headed into the postseason and met up with the Houston Texans in the AFC Championship. Another great game going down to the wire, and Perry Cummings was proving to be the difference maker. We had seen our defense give up these late leads many times before, but not this time, as we get a huge sack fumble on Deshaun Watson before this drive could even get going. Greenberry and the Browns had finally made it to the Super Bowl with an undefeated record at that. And with the top offense in the NFL, one of the best in NFL history, this was a team that scored 570 points. And there was no answer for Perry Cummings all season. Once he became a running back, the NFL was in trouble, especially considering our defense had come a very long way. Greenberry and Perry Cummings were the dynamic duo that Cleveland needed, and we indeed won the Super Bowl. Anton Greenberry had helped the Browns go from being an 0-16 team to a 16-0 team that won the Super Bowl. Perry Cummings was the Super Bowl MVP this season, and I think you could still debate who was the more important player to us actually getting to and winning the Super Bowl. As a rookie, Perry Cummings accomplished what most hope to accomplish in a career. The journey continued on. The next season, we lost 4 games, but did make it back to the Super Bowl yet again. This time we got the matchup of Anton Greenberry versus Kevin Fox, two of the quarterbacks under consideration for the first draft pick of the series. Greenberry had gone on a long run of good seasons and easily solidified himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Once again, we saw Perry Cummings take over in the postseason as we did the year prior. While Anton Greenberry put up huge numbers all regular season, it was another year where he wasn't quite dominant in the playoffs. It wasn't that it mattered because our team was loaded at this point, but Anton Greenberry in the second Super Bowl, he only threw the ball 19 times. It was the Perry Cummings show yet again, recording his second Super Bowl MVP, but the team got their second Lombardi. At this point, I wanted to see if Greenberry could get his own Super Bowl MVP and how many rings he could accumulate. Later in the series, we actually made it to the Super Bowl with Perry Cummings injured. This was Greenberry's chance to steal the show, but it was the Atlanta Falcons that stole it instead. We won the 2 Super Bowls with Perry Cummings at his best. The next 3 Super Bowls we made, we all lost. Perry Cummings was hurt for one of them, and by far his best years were his earliest. And we got to the point in the series where every year I was wondering if Anton Greenberry would retire. He was getting into his late 30s, but he kept coming back for another season. And despite all the regression, Greenberry was putting up his biggest numbers at the age of 38 and again at the age of 39. He even won Offensive Player of the Year despite being in his 18th season. And here are the numbers. In 2034 and 2035, nearly 100 combined touchdowns for a guy I thought might retire. In that age 39 season, Anton Greenberry made it to his 6th Super Bowl. The only 2 wins came with Perry Cummings at his best, and early in this game, Perry Cummings was injured. That meant that a lot more was put on Anton Greenberry's shoulders, especially when you consider that Perry Cummings' backup Marquise Porter had one of the worst turnovers in the entire series. On the other side for Green Bay, by the way, was Kevin Fox. The same quarterback we talked about earlier, the former Dallas Cowboy legend, now looking for a final ring with the Packers. We had a very low-scoring first half, but Anton Greenberry got the offense going before halftime and showed that he still had plenty of arm talent. The arm strength was going down every season, but that didn't stop Greenberry from finding a way to keep making plays. We were in pretty good shape in the second half, but Green Bay got a huge kick return to get them back in this game and to make things a little tougher on Anton Greenberry. Greenberry did his best to put this game out of reach, finding Rafael Carr late to put the Browns up 2 scores late third quarter. And on to the fourth and goal. Kevin Fox keeps the Packers' hopes alive with this big touchdown. Could Anton Greenberry put this game away? The Packers weren't going to make that easy. I wanted to see Greenberry end this himself, but it wasn't going to work out that way. It came down to the defense protecting a 6-point lead. Kevin Fox, big pass down the middle. Packers down to the 45. And on a 3rd and 12, Fox up the seam and his receiver dropped it, forcing 4th down. Game on the line on 4th down. Nobody open for Kevin Fox, and eventually he's gonna go down. Green Bay turned it over, and that meant Anton Greenberry, Cleveland Browns legend, was able to take a knee and finish out this game. Number 3 had won his 3rd ring at last, and for some reason, the Super Bowl MVP was again given to Perry Cummings. Still, Greenberry played a great game without the star running back and helped lead the Browns to this Super Bowl championship. Greenberry played every snap of his career from his rookie season all the way to age 40 with the Cleveland Browns. On the way, he won 3 Super Bowls, made 13 Pro Bowls, multiple MVPs, Offensive Rookie of the Year, multiple times named the best quarterback in the AFC. Anton Greenberry was a legend, even if he didn't dominate in the postseason. And following his 3rd Super Bowl victory, Anton Greenberry did indeed retire after an illustrious 18-year career. He threw for an NFL record 633 touchdowns, over 78,000 yards, and played in 286 regular season games. After doing this series and following Anton Greenberry's entire NFL career, it was sad to see the Cleveland Browns series come to an end, but now today, we're getting to spend a little more time with Anton Greenberry as we get him at Louisville. We're going to play out his junior season. Given the type of prospect that he was, I would think of Greenberry being someone who would leave a little bit earlier than his senior year. However, I was still interested in simulating his first year as a starter to see what would happen, and Louisville became the number 2 team, still didn't make the national championship, and met up with Ole Miss in the Rose Bowl. In this game, Louisville fell short, losing 24-21. Anton Greenberry did not play a very good game at all. 11 of 39, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, still Louisville almost won. But this is where we're at right now, trying to finish up this chapter for Anton Greenberry, this prequel. I think it's a cool idea to take some of these guys back to college for a season. You can let me know what you think down below in the comments. So in this video, we're not going to get to the first game against Marshall. That intro obviously ran a bit long, but I didn't think I could just say, hey, Anton Greenberry was a really good player in this series and won a few rings. I had to do a little bit more. I wanted to dig into that story and give you the details, and also, show people that this Browns series was awesome, and if you missed it, you can still go back and watch and catch up on everything. So Anton Greenberry is the starting quarterback for Louisville, and I really like this coach trust system in Road to Glory. I like that you have to earn your abilities here, and you're kind of stuck with the coach's play calls, and I think it makes the experience a lot more fun. Okay, I just realized that Anton Greenberry is actually the backup right now. I made him the starter when I started this thing up, and for some reason it regressed him after year 1. That's not something I expected. I'll take care of it one way or another, but we're going to get Anton Greenberry back on the field, and obviously now I've got to do pretty well on these practices to earn back that coach trust. But I've always enjoyed the Road to Glory formula, and I think that it works really well, and it's obviously better than anything Madden has done since. Road to Glory was really pretty simple. I know Road to Glory has this amazing reputation. It's just a few simple things they did that I think made it so good, like the coach trust system and coaches calling the plays. Like, I think giving you just full control, making it easy to be a starter and have all the abilities, it actually hurts more than it helps the experience, in my opinion. I think it's a lot more interesting when you have to earn it and there's a bit of a climb there. Oh, I can't get interceptions. Those will destroy your coach trust. I might be able to earn the starting job if I do this practice correctly. So now I'm feeling the pressure, actually. So here we go, Greenberry. Oh my, I almost did it again. I'm on the sliders I use, by the way, in my Kalispell Dynasty that I do on my main channel. So it's a Heisman set that I've been working on for a long time, and I really like it. And I really can't afford those negative plays. Oh no, you lose so much. I've got to get to that 200. I'm not sure if I can today. These sliders aren't going to make it any easier. If I get a couple touchdowns, we've got a shot. Come on, get into the end zone, Inman. Not quite. So I guess for this chapter of the story, we could say that Greenberry had a poor bowl game, and the team was, he lost his job in the spring of the following season, and he's trying to earn it back right now. What? Okay, coach trust it stinks sometimes. For certain positions, it obviously doesn't do a very good job of allowing you to climb the ladder easily, but it was a great system for a lot of spots like running back. I think for quarterback, it's really difficult. One mistake and you cost yourself the entire day, basically. Alright, so I've decided instead to just simulate to the end of this year after getting Anton Greenberry back his starting job, and we'll play out his senior season instead. I just didn't realize it would kind of reset the coach trust like that. And it looks like this year was way worse than Anton Greenberry's first as a starter, as Louisville went only 7-6 and they lost another bowl game. So that would mean that Greenberry struggled to win the big games in his college career and then struggled to win them in his NFL career until Perry Cummings showed up. Greenberry's numbers were at least better than the Rose Bowl that he played last season. And then I guess we're playing out his senior year, trying to figure out if we can at least finish that career strong. Now here we are with Anton Greenberry, truly his last season. He was worse as a junior than he was as a sophomore, so now we see Anton Greenberry had to come back for one more season to solidify that high draft stock. But wait till you see who our first opponent's going to be. We get the bye in week 1, we can practice. But as soon as you go to week 2, get ready for number 3 Notre Dame, everybody. One of the top teams in the country. So I'll have to earn as much coach trust as I can here in his senior season to unlock as many abilities as possible. Otherwise, I'll be stuck with just the play calls and having to deal with no audibles, no hot routes, and having to execute them the best that I can here, which I like that challenge. I think it makes Road to Glory a lot of fun. Every practice it's raining. Why is that the case? Wow. So I can't remember where I was when I left off before, trying to obviously get everything ready so we could start the season and get to playing. But now we're in the senior year for Anton Greenberry, and I'm looking forward to this. This is something I think that we could do, quite a bit. A lot of different players would be interesting. We could go to both sides of the football, and because it's, a full season and the college season is normally a lot shorter than a professional season, you actually can get through a year pretty quick, and you don't get burnt out just by playing like too many games at one position that isn't as much fun as you thought it would be. The gameplay in here should be pretty tough though, because these are the same sliders I play with in my Kalispell Dynasty, and that team is really good. Plus, I play with a mobile quarterback, which dramatically makes things easier in NCAA when you can roll away from pressure and make all these ridiculous passes. But Anton Greenberry is a pocket passer. It's a different game. So he's got a little bit of mobility here. He had functional mobility when his career began. By the end of his career, he was purely a pocket passer with no real escapability. But we'll have to see what this team is also around him. We barely made it to a bowl game the previous year, so I'm not sure how good of a team this is even going to be for us. I know the offensive line isn't giving me much confidence so far. Last couple reps of practice here. There we go. There we go. I gotta be careful though. I've thrown a lot of interceptions on these sliders, or very similar sliders, as I've been adjusting them for a long time. Still playing NCAA 14 quite regularly. There we go. Nice finish, Anton Greenberry. But to earn the next levels of coach trust, that's gonna be difficult. So here's the first game of the series then. This is gonna be tough. Number 3 Notre Dame. I don't know what to even expect of this season from us. So why don't we take a look at our roster. Anton Greenberry is QB1. Our top running back is Kevin Leonard, who has 87 speed. He has 91 acceleration. He can break some tackles, thankfully. So obviously I've got to rely on our running back to hopefully do well. Matt McKenzie behind him has similar athleticism, it would appear, and a similar game, although maybe a little less trucking, more elusiveness. And for receiver, please have good news. It's not great news. Ryan Cooley has speed. He's our top receiver by far. We are not very deep at this position. 81 catching, or 84 catching, 75 catching, 68 catching. All right, you've got to be kidding me. Anton Greenberry does not have a great supporting cast. Jerome Jones. Okay, we have a good tight end. So we're going to be going up the seam here as much as possible. They better call good plays for our tight end because he's the star of the show. Offensive line, left tackle's good, center's great. Not a bad line. It's above average, I'd say. And defensively, we're not going to see these guys a lot, but you can watch, any play you want when you're in Road to Glory, thankfully. They look all right. This could actually be a decent team. But we've got to get out to a good start here. College football has very little room for error, and that little room for error happens to be early in the season. So you can recover from an opening week loss, but it's hard to make it to a national championship or a high-level bowl game, even with that one loss, if you don't finish near perfect. So Notre Dame is next for Anton Greenberry. First game we'll see him in quite some time. And I hope you all are looking forward to this little experience here. We can do this with a variety of your favorite players at different spots, and I think it could be a fun way to just expand what we're doing here on the channel. And I like to have some of these smaller series to complement the larger series. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section. And next episode, first game of Anton Greenberry's senior season. How does it go for the young quarterback with big NFL dreams? Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon, everybody, with the first game. Have a great day.